Hello and welcome. Let's look at the sky from July 19th through July 25th. This week has a rare backdrop. For slow-moving planets, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto settle into an unusually tight pattern that some astrologers are calling Barbeau's basket. It's a collective moment more than a personal one, and it doesn't hand anyone a finished outcome. What it may do is make change feel a little more possible than it did before. Closer to home, the week moves in two halves. Through Tuesday, things stay slow and reflective. Then on Wednesday, the sun enters Leo, and the mood warms and brightens. On Thursday, Mercury finally turns direct, and the fog of the last few weeks begins to lift. Conversations that stalled may start moving again. And waiting just past the weekend, Saturn turns retrograde, opening a longer season of review we'll all feel building. Let the first half be quiet. The second half is where it opens up. Let's begin. Aries and Aries rising. This week may pull you between the people at home and the part of you that wants to play. Picture a kitchen table where a conversation that's been circling for weeks finally lands somewhere useful. Through Tuesday, family matters may still feel heavy and unresolved. Then on Wednesday, Leo season begins, and something lighter moves in: creativity, romance, the pull of things you actually enjoy. On Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and a decision about your home may finally start to move. Watch for one thing. A friendship or a group may ask more of you than you have to give right now, and it's okay to hold back. And just ahead, Saturn begins a long retrograde in your sign, inviting you to look again at your long-term goals. Slow progress is still progress. For Taurus and Taurus rising, this is a week for clearing the air and quieting your mind. Picture a stack of unopened mail finally sorted into neat piles. Through Tuesday, messages, paperwork, and conversations with the people nearby may still feel tangled. Then on Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and crossed wires with a sibling, a neighbor, or an unanswered form may begin to straighten out. Midweek, as the sun moves into Leo, your attention turns toward home, toward making your space feel calm and yours again. If a wave of emotional tiredness arrives, treat yourself kindly. You don't always have to be the steady one. And with Saturn preparing to turn retrograde right after this week, a quieter season is opening, where you may finally set down some mental weight you've carried far too long. Gemini and Gemini rising, your week may feel loud with ideas and a restless urge to change something fast. Picture a notebook filling with half-finished plans at 2 in the morning, with Mars and Uranus both moving through your sign. You may want to overhaul your life overnight, but the sky suggests thinking it through first. On Wednesday, the sun joins Jupiter in your world of conversation, writing, and short trips, and your calendar may fill quickly. Early in the week, a big idea may collide with someone else's opinion. Try not to turn it into a fight you don't need. On Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and money matters that stalled may finally resolve. Saturn's retrograde begins just past this week, and you may find yourself looking honestly at which friendships still belong in your future. This week, Cancer and Cancer rising, the fog finally starts to lift. Picture a window that's been steamed over 4 weeks, slowly clearing until you can see the street again. Mercury has been retrograde in your sign, and on Thursday it turns direct. Your thinking may sharpen, and decisions you've been circling may suddenly feel obvious. On Wednesday, the sun moves into Leo, turning your attention toward money, security, and what you actually value. There may be a real opening here around your finances, though shared money or a joint debt could need a careful look too. And if a money decision stirs a quiet worry about where you stand with others, remember that your worth isn't up for a vote. Saturn turns retrograde right as this week hands off, opening a longer season of rebuilding your work life on firmer ground. Leo and Leo rising, your week arrives in two very different halves. Picture a stage still dark, with someone waiting quietly in the wings. Through Tuesday, you may feel pulled backward into rest, reflection, and unfinished business no one else can see. Then on Wednesday, the sun crosses into your sign and Leo season begins. With Jupiter already there, your energy, your visibility, and your creative nerve may all lift at once. Relationships may need extra patience. Early in the week, a difference of opinion could harden into a standoff if you let it. On Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and something you've been quietly building may start to come together. And with Saturn preparing to turn back just ahead, you may be asked to re-examine a belief, a study plan, or a trip you've been imagining. For Virgo and Virgo rising, the week moves from the crowd toward your own quiet corner. Picture a busy group chat finally going still. Early on, friendships, shared projects, and long-term goals may take most of your energy. On Thursday, Mercury, your ruler, turns direct, and a misunderstanding with a friend or a colleague may finally untangle itself. Midweek, the sun slips into a quieter part of your sky, beginning a month of rest and reflection before your own season arrives. If a flicker of doubt about your direction shows up, let it pass through without gripping it. And as Saturn prepares to turn retrograde just past this week, you may feel invited to slow down and sort through shared money, agreements, and the boundaries you've let blur. Libra and Libra rising, your week moves from work toward people. Picture an office door closing behind you as you head somewhere warmer. Early on, career delays and unanswered messages may still be frustrating. Then on Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and the professional logjam may finally break. On Wednesday, the sun joins Jupiter in your world of community and friendship, which may open doors toward new circles, collaborations, and long-term dreams. You may feel torn between your social life and your romantic one, and early in the week that tension could sharpen. Choose the connections that feel real over the ones that simply look good. This week, Scorpio and Scorpio rising, you may be asked to raise your eyes. Picture a map spread across a table with one route circled in pen. Early on, travel plans, a course of study, or a legal matter may keep you busy. On Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and the paperwork and delays that have been dragging may finally clear. Midweek, the sun moves into your work and visibility sector alongside Jupiter, and your professional standing may get a real lift. Balancing that momentum with family life could take some care, especially early in the week. Meanwhile, something around shared money or an investment may quietly open in your favor. And with Saturn's retrograde arriving right after this week, the invitation ahead is to rebuild your daily routines and your health on steadier ground. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, the week opens outward. Picture a suitcase half-packed by the door and the feeling that comes with it. Early on, delays around shared money, taxes, or a joint account may still be dragging. Then on Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and those knots may finally loosen. On Wednesday, the sun joins Jupiter in your world of travel, learning, and bigger questions, and your appetite for something more may return in full. Early in the week, a grand idea may run straight into the fine print of your daily life. Stay flexible rather than forcing it. By the weekend, work conversations may turn in your favor, and as Saturn prepares to turn retrograde just past this week, you may be asked to bring a little more structure to your creative life and the things you do purely for joy. Capricorn and Capricorn rising, relationships sit at the center of your week. Picture two people finally saying the thing they've been circling for a month. On Thursday, Mercury turns direct in your partnership sector, and the confusing conversations of the last few weeks may finally come clear. Midweek, the sun moves into deeper territory, shared money, intimacy, and the agreements you've made with other people. It may be a good moment to look closely at what you've actually committed to. Early in the week, your own values may pull against what's expected of you jointly, and that tension is worth listening to. By the weekend, a warm conversation may quietly close a family matter. Saturn's retrograde then arrives just ahead, beginning a slow rebuild of your home life and your sense of inner security. Aquarius and Aquarius rising. Your week shifts from your to-do list toward the people in your life. Picture a calendar suddenly clearing to make room for one long dinner. Early on, work delays and scheduling chaos may still be untangling. Then on Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and the logistics may finally settle. On Wednesday, the Sun joins Jupiter in your partnership sector, warming your closest relationships and your working alliances alike. Holding on to your independence while making room for someone else may take patience, and early in the week that balance could feel especially tight. By the weekend, a conversation about shared money may flow more easily than expected. And as this week hands off, Saturn turns retrograde, inviting you to rethink how you communicate with the people closest to home. For Pisces and Pisces rising, the week moves from play toward practical repair. Picture a desk being cleared one drawer at a time, until the surface finally shows again. Early on, creative blocks and mixed signals in love may start to dissolve. Then on Thursday, Mercury turns direct, and stalled projects may breathe again. On Wednesday, the Sun joins Jupiter in your world of work and well-being, and you may find real energy to fix your schedule, your health, and your workspace. The catch is rest. Early in the week, a growing to-do list may pull hard against your need for quiet, so take both seriously. And just past this week, Saturn turns retrograde in your money sector, opening a season of rebuilding your budget and a steadier sense of your own worth. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. And remember, the stars don't decide your future. They simply help you see it more clearly. If this reading spoke to you, consider subscribing to Follow the Stars, and share it with someone who could use a gentler week. Let me know your sign in the comments. I'd love to know who's watching. Until next week, take care.